Hey guys, Bix Weir, roadtoroota.com, coming to you from the ocean. Got away for the weekend, which is pretty cool. I'm at Half Moon Bay. Anybody has been to Half Moon Bay, check it out. It's really cool. Sam's Chowder House, one of the best places to get chowder. They do the New England chowder on the wrong coast, so what do you do? It's the beach house. It's the hotel, really cool place where I'm staying. And had to get out and, took the wife out for a little weekend getaway. It's pretty cool, huh? But on that note, let's talk about, real quickly, not a long conversation, about all the FUD. FUD isn't a bad thing. You know, the word FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. In the crypto world, it goes with, it's an initiation, really. You know, that's what happens. I remember when I first got into the cryptos, I think it was 2010, 2011. Mount Gox hit, and then I sold pretty much all my cryptos. Biggest mistake ever, obviously, but many people did. You know, there was so much fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And it really does take going through all the motions of all the reasons why all the fear related to changing out of the old system and into something new. You know, a lot of people out there, they're totally convinced that our unbacked fiat monetary system is absolutely the most corrupt, worst system possible, but they're absolutely afraid of moving to anything else. And they should be. I mean, if it is a sudden collapse and all of a sudden we don't have access to any money via the banks because their derivatives blew, yeah, it's going to be a bad thing. There's going to be a lot of deaths, like millions of deaths. No food, no water, no transportation, no electricity, no internet. Oh my God, no internet. Can't be. So the good guys are planning this thing with the cryptos, set up an alternate economy right next to our current economy. It's not all that hard to understand. The good guys, as I call them, began really in the 1960s. After they bad guys took out Kennedy. Actually, no, it probably went back to 1913. The reason they created the Federal Reserve Bank was not what G. Edward Griffith said, although all those things that he recounted were facts. But the thing that really scared the United States and kind of forced Woodrow Wilson's hand was the gold that they found in the Grand Canyon. Massive amounts of gold, millions of tons. But they said billions and billions and billions of ounces. And that was the front page article in the New York Times. But it wasn't just the New York Times article. They got me researching the gold in the Grand Canyon. All kinds of things related to lawsuits related to the ability to mine in the Grand Canyon. All the cordoned off areas of the Grand Canyon you're not allowed to go to. The Smithsonian cover-up of all the ancient artifacts there. There's a ton of information. Yes, I was working on a book. But, you know, I don't think it will be all that important anymore. With the growth of the cryptos and the ability for humanity to move on to something else, I don't think gold will be all that important as a, definitely not as a means of exchange, perhaps as a store of value. But it kind of goes against the road to Roota theory, because the road to Roota theory was based off Alan Greenspan, Stephen DuVoe, Federal Reserve Bank of Boston, planning on how to destroy the system and return to a gold standard and get rid of the bad guys. All that was done in, like, the original comics from the Fed Boston were written in 1981, and then they were redone in 2008, right before the crash. And it was the good guys that, you know, clicked the mouse that started the crash, 2007, 2008, completely the good guys. So, yeah, if you've noticed that when Alan Greenspan became head of the Fed, within 2 months, there was a computer crash, the stock market crash of 1987, completely computer induced. And if you go to, you know, all the old market crashes since the invention of electronic money, electronic assets in the 1960s by Alan Greenspan using John Kemeny's language called BASIC computer language invented by John Kemeny, best buddies with Alan Greenspan. John Kemeny was so smart, he was actually Albert Einstein's mathematician. That's how smart that guy was. And Greenspan and him always had an ongoing thing, who was smarter. Really interesting stuff if you do the homework and figure out what's really going on. So Alan Greenspan wrote the original computer programs that formed the basis of our monetary system, our electronic monetary system, has controlled that system since we went off the gold standard. We weren't really on the gold standard in 1971. It was a gold-backed hybrid derivative standard, really. But Alan Greenspan and friends always wanted to go back onto a gold standard, and that's what they planned to do. They were going to print money, as much money, as fast and hard as possible. That's why Congress never tries to balance. They'll talk about balancing the budget. They'll talk about getting the deficit under control, but they have no plans to do that. Not a chance. You don't win if you do that. You win if you create more and more money, soaking up all the benefits, build houses, bridges, build your military, and then crash the system. That's what they planned on doing. But the problem was the crashing the system part. Way too many people would die. So the good guys, yes, the CIA was involved in the very beginning of Bitcoin, and it was their job. The NSA, the CIA, and the Federal Reserve, and the Treasury, it's their job to be involved with any form of money. So yes, there are papers going back to the 1980s about a Bitcoin-like operation and digital money and things like that. Of course, that's their job. Their job is to control the monetary system, and that's what they've been doing. So yes, was the Satoshi Nakamoto white paper a group of people getting together? Clearly it was based off other people's research, but Satoshi really made a breakthrough. And was Satoshi one guy, or was it a group of people, and were they really working for the NSA or the CIA? Probably. Was Alan Greenspan involved in it? I'd say absolutely. He knew everything about it. Remember, he was one of the, being a computer programmer in the 1960s and inventing the electronic monetary system, he even admits it was his fault for the Y2K problem. He programmed only 2 digits instead of 4. Oh darn. But yeah, it's not like Alan Greenspan stopped being a computer expert in the 70s and 80s. If you go back to Apple Computer has only had one outside spokesperson. Steve Jobs was always the spokesperson for Apple Computer, but they did hire one guy to be their spokesperson when the Apple IIc came out in the early 80s. Who was it? Alan Greenspan. Go look it up on YouTube. You can see Alan Greenspan peddling the Apple IIc and making fun of the government. So yes, the Roto-Rooter theory is absolutely correct. It is ongoing. There are good guys and bad guys, and the good guys are winning and will win in the end. All the FUD around the bad guys taking over cryptocurrencies to enslave humanity. Dun, dun, dun. Sure, they would love to do that. Are they going to be able to? No, not at all. Good guys are still in charge. And here's the other thing about that. Yes, the banks and the bad guys are going to get involved in the cryptocurrencies. Will they try to use it to enslave humanity? They would try if they could, but they don't have that kind of power. They don't have the power to say, hey, you must put your asset, your house that you own, not your bank owns, that you own into this ACC coin or whatever coin they're going to use. I would be a whole lot more scared of digital asset holdings. Digital asset holdings is Blythe Masters' little masterpiece that's going in to take over for the DTCC, which owns everything that all the FUD people are saying is going into this bankster crypto. It's the DTCC, and even going beyond that, it's Seed and Company who owns everything. So yeah, the bankers can put all their assets that they own into any crypto they want. And the reason they'd want to do that is not to take over humanity. They can't do that. They know they're not strong enough to do that. What they can do is try to hide all their really problematic assets. Right now, the central banks are buying up all the mortgage-backed securities and all the real bad debt. So yeah, they would love to stick that all in a coin and then sell off the coin, and but sell it off for what? Other cryptos maybe, so they can get enough cryptos in their pocket. So yeah, it's a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt. From the Roto-Rooter perspective, from the perspective that I've analyzed since, what was it, 2007, that the Fed comics came out. From the Fed Boston perspective, who's in charge of the cryptocurrencies for the Federal Reserve Bank, that's not a surprise. No, there's going to be no takeover of humanity through the cryptocurrencies. That's just, it's out there to make you feel scared, and people did. Unfortunately, and this is the problem I have. Unfortunately, with the latest scare, I had some subscribers who said, I sold all my Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies because the banksters are going to take it over with this ACC coin. That's the saddest thing I've ever heard of. I said, what are you thinking? Come on, think, use your head. So they're out of the cryptocurrencies now. They'll be buying in again, of course, when it goes up and they feel more comfortable. But that's sad. I shouldn't have sold out when Mt. Gox went down. I didn't understand what was going on with the exchanges and just how fragile the exchanges on the cryptocurrencies are. They are absolutely fragile. They take in cryptos, they take in cash, and they work within a pool, and it's all leveraged massively. It's fractional reserve lending, just like the banks do. They don't have all that Bitcoin. That's why Coinbase said, get all your Bitcoin out, because they knew that if it was successful, the fork was successful, which it pretty much was, but you know, who knows what's going to happen to Bitcoin Cash. But they knew they didn't have the Bitcoin that all their customers had. That's not part of their business model. Same with all the other exchanges, Poloniex and all that stuff. So, you know, all the fear, uncertainty, and doubt, it fades over time when you're in your cryptos long enough. It fades over time when you're in silver and gold long enough. You don't get, after a while, you're just so used to it so many times. How many times has Bitcoin died? Hundreds. It just died again with the latest FUD. I just wanted to get online and say, hey, everybody take a deep breath. Take a look at the companies you're investing in. If you're investing in the alt tokens, great companies. Amazing potential out there for the Amazons and the Googles and the Facebooks of the world to be born from the invention of blockchain technology. Blockchain technology is a truth machine. You can't get away from it. If somebody wants to invent another blockchain that has centralized control, there's no difference. Let the banks do it. They'll put all their assets in it. But who would believe it? Who would invest in something like that with centralized control? The whole concept behind the blockchain is decentralized control that gives the truth and honesty, and nobody can screw with it. So anyway, that's my thought for the morning as I'm on vacation. Take a look. It's my last day of vacation. Back to work. Got a big interview tomorrow with the Three Amigos. Monster interview. A lot of woo-woo stuff. I'm real excited about what's going on in the Antarctic. Cliff's dad is kicking out a lot of stuff on that, so we'll be talking about that on Sunday night. Joe will probably post that to his site on, I think, Monday, maybe Sunday night, but probably Monday. He's a little later than us. And I'm just excited about hanging out with the boys again. It's going to be a fun conversation. We'll talk a little about FUD, but not much. You know, we've been through it so many times. You get a little tired of even addressing it, truthfully. But hang in there, everybody. The world is changing, and you can either change with it or just watch it go by. I chose to get on board. I'm not selling any of my cryptos. I'm building a portfolio for my grandkids, truthfully. And you can too. It's not rocket science. This is Bix Weir, roadtoroota.com. Don't forget to like this, send it around to your friends, and go to roadtoroota.com and sign up for the free emails. And you can even check out the silver coin offering, which is going fast. We're backed up. It's going to take a couple weeks to get those coins out. So many people are after that Road to Ruta coin because it's so cool with the little gold, the cave of gold in the side of the hill and Ruta on her silver road. Cool stuff. Anyway, this is Bix Weir. We'll talk to you later.